This Snazzy Tapir production is made possible by our patrons. If you'd like to join them, head over to patreon.com/snazzytapir to get early access to new episodes, access to the members-only Discord, and our exclusive monthly newsletter. Now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to A Game of One's Own, a podcast dedicated to solo and duet role-playing games. I'm your host, Maddy Searle. My pronouns are they, them. And today we are concluding our playthrough of Hedge Witch by Justin Vandermeer with special guest Edward Spence. This game was recorded in December 2023 at Dragonmeet, a TTRPG convention in London. Last we left off, witches Bronwyn and Ashlyn were doing their best to look after the forest they call home, in the absence of their mentor Samantha Heddy. So, without further ado, let's find out what our next prompt was. Two of Hearts. This is an easy one.
Okay.
A pond favored by tiny green frogs is drying up. Soon there will be no place for these glossy amphibians to spawn. They need your help.
So I think Ashlyn comes upon this the following day. And again, the sun is shining, and it is warm, it is beautiful and balmy. And she's walking along when she just hears it. And she's looking around. She's a big fan of frogs. She really enjoys their company. As she walks over, and she sees just this small indentation in the ground that is all shriveled up and dry. She's very young and not very clever. She's just going to stand there for a bit and go, okay, I can help. And she just spits into the middle of it. And she does this for the better part of an hour, just whether this is clever or not, probably not, but she's going to roll it as such. Cool. She thinks she can fill it all with water, and spit is water, right?
Yeah.
So that is a 6.
I think that does it.
No.
Yeah. It's an easy challenge. 6 is the DC. So yeah.
She just stands there, and an hour becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes the morning, becomes the afternoon. And I would say, Bronwyn, if you were to part, eventually, just as the sun's beginning to set, you would just see Ashlyn just...
Oh, honey, what are you doing? Are you ill? Do you need medicine?
No, I'm okay. I'm just a bit dry.
Oh, I'll get you some water. Okay, here we go. And she rushes in and gets a glass of water, possibly 2, like double-handed. gives 2 glasses of water at once.
Ashlyn takes them and immediately pours them into the pool of saliva and just go,
Thank you.
Oh, no, those were for you, darling. Okay. What about, would you like some lemonade?
Mm-hmm. And immediately just brightens up and perks up. She's gonna disappear with you and grab some lemonade, I think.
Excellent. Fantastic. So yeah, let's see what happens next. Ooh, King of Clubs.
Oh.
This is gonna be
This is gonna be hard.
Hard challenge. The sun is tired and doesn't want to rise ever again. He dims his light and hides on the horizon all day, claiming to be feeling unwell. Until this is resolved and the sun is convinced to climb the sky again, the forest is plunged into an endless night. So what do you think Ashlyn's response to this would be?
So Ashlyn immediately comes in, sort of shaking a thermometer, and just goes, yeah, he got a real bad fever. And she places it to one side. And
where did you get that thermometer from?
Oh, it's used for mixing and all of the mercury that Samantha deals with potions.
Okay.
It's okay. I stood on the top shelf to get it.
Okay, I think things are mostly on the top shelf so that it's harder for you to get them.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, that shows initiative, so I can't fault that.
I'll put it back. There was also a scary poison apple, and there was a pie made of the apples, and I really wanted to try some, but I did not.
That was a good idea. Yeah. Especially, How could you tell that it was poison?
There were so many dead caterpillars all around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's also good noticing. Good noticing.
And maybe it's only poisonous to caterpillars, so maybe I could eat it, maybe?
No.
Oh.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, with the sun, I was thinking, so I usually get really scared in the dark, but when someone gives me a fright, I jump so high, and I was thinking maybe if we scared the sun enough, then maybe he would jump up in the sky, and he'd just kind of stay there.
Yeah, sure. You can give that a go.
Okay, what would scare the sun? And she's gonna run into the potions cabinet, and she's gonna come out with sunscreen, and she's going to like rub it all over herself. She's just coated in just like head to toe in just like slightly off-white cream, and she's just going to like march off through this forest, like leaving these footprints behind her. And then she's going to walk right up to where the sun is and sort of like peeking over the hill and down at where he's resting, and just boom. She's going to roll a brave. That's a 4.
So presumably the sun is not moved by this terrifying display.
He's not, no. But I think Ashlyn just like peeking around and seeing that Bronwyn is not around is going to try magic. I think she is going to just wiggle her fingers, and she is going to just like close her eyes, and she squinches up her face and her nose, and she's just bringing her slowly waggling fingers just up and up and up and up. And all around, leaves begin to lift off the ground, and the boughs of the trees overhead begin to bend upwards as the sun slowly begins to rise, until eventually the sky is blue. Light streams down, and I think Ashlyn, having used this wild point, probably collapses on the floor. I think she is out of it. She has never expended magic like this before.
A few hours pass, and Bronwyn was like, Ashlyn hasn't come back from scaring the sun with sunscreen. I need to go check what's happening with that. So she goes out and sees this little crumpled form on the ground, and it's just like, oh, Ashlyn, are you okay?
Oh, I just wanted to be a witch like you.
And then I think that moment, because they're under the canopy of trees, so it was kind of hard to see until this point, but the light starts to peek between the leaves, and she can see the sun rising up above, and Bronwyn goes, you did it. You brought the sun back.
Yeah. He's kind of moody, though.
Yeah, that tracks. That really does track. Okay, now, I think it's time to get you... Would you like a hot chocolate?
Cold chocolate.
Cold chocolate. Yeah, chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Bronwyn's response to everything is just like, I need to get this child some treats. This child needs to be fed all the treats.
She is a menace.
I'm entirely imagining May from My Neighbor Totoro, just like, especially as you're like balling up your fist. I was just like, this is so clear in my mind. I'm imagining it so vividly. Amazing. Okay, yeah. Do you want to grab another one?
100%. Oh, no. It's another king. It's King of Hearts.
Oh dear.
This time.
Okay, the moon is rightfully proud of her beautiful face, but she has started shining so bright at night it always feels like daytime. Even the sun is starting to take notice. The sun and the moon are having a rough time at the moment. Until this is successfully resolved, you'll have trouble sleeping, which reduces your clever skill by 1 point.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay.
I'd say Ashlyn is, despite this out cold, she is sleeping after her previous day's endeavor.
As Bronwyn is struggling to try and get to sleep and is just like staring at Ashlyn, just like, how is this possible? They look out of the window and just see this sort of gloating moon just sort of shining down with this smug look on its face. And she can see that all the animals of the forest who sleep during the night are just sort of looking up in sort of horror at this monstrosity that has disturbed their diurnal rhythms. She is aware that this is something that she can't do with her wits alone. So she only has 1 point of magic currently, but I think The situation is dire enough that she's going to try and use and just like, we'll figure out how to do more magic later. Focus on the present. She's just going to reach out her hands out of the window and say, "Excuse me, Moon, you look gorgeous, by the way. You're looking great. You're just like, everything is just amazing. But like everyone's trying to sleep. So would it be okay if you just toned it down a little bit?" As she's speaking, she's going to weave some magic with her words. And so the words are going to kind of be entwined with moonlight and just sort of weave their way up towards the moon and encircle it and hopefully charm the moon enough that she decides to be a bit more on the DL from now on. So yeah, I'll cross out my only remaining point of magic. Just won't mention this to Ashlyn. She's asleep and doesn't need to worry about this. Okay, so let's go for another card. 10 of Hearts. A beaver's dam floods an area riddled with coyote dens, displacing dozens of young families. Their constant squabbles for territory are getting disruptive. So maybe the next morning, Ashlyn and Bronwyn are woken by the yips and the chitters of squabbling beavers and coyotes. So yeah, what does Ashlyn want to do about this?
Ashlyn wakes and there's proper like Peer Gynt music like playing on the horizon as she just stretches out, and she's had an amazing night's sleep. And she just strolls down singing to herself like, and eventually coming to the river and just seeing these two befurred families just like shouting with one another. She looks between them and she's not one for conflict. And she just steps in between these two quarreling families and, "Now excuse me, why don't we just talk? So, Mrs. Beaver, and Mr. and Mrs. Coyote, why don't you tell me if you're happy with where you're living at the moment, or maybe this is an opportunity to move? Mrs. and Mrs. Beaver, you must not always love living on the river. Maybe you want a holiday. Mr. and Mrs. Coyote, maybe you can come live in the manor if you wanted to." And she's going to roll a clever skill. I need a 6 on this dice. It's a 5, so that's an 8 in total.
So close. What do you think happens with the squabbling animals as this doesn't quite land?
There is a moment's pause as they look at her before immediately they just like snap back to one another, and there's as they just like shout at one another again, and Ashlyn just like throws her hands up in disbelief and like, "I really thought that would work," and she just heads back to the house to once again pester Bronwyn.
Yeah, I think Bronwyn is quite aware of the noise and has been trying to get a little bit of a lie in, but is just not succeeding. And so gets up and is like, "All right, fine, let's see what we can do." They just go out and start trying to dig some new dens for the coyotes and also gather some sticks and pieces of wood to help the beavers rebuild their dam. So I think this is maybe going to be more of a brave roll. Let's see how this goes. That's a 2. So yeah, that's not going to do it. That's a 4 total. As she attempts to start digging the hole, a coyote just kind of comes up and starts kind of berating her.
Oh no!
And she's just like, "I'm trying to," and the coyote, in the way that Bronwyn can understand, is basically like, "Why would you think I would want to live here? This place is a trash heap."
As it does so, you just see a small pale hand just come out and like boop its snoot. I mean, it's just like, "Hey, don't talk to Bronwyn that way. Look, maybe the reason you don't like this is because maybe you need to live somewhere that suits your needs. So what do you need?" And she listens to the coyotes as they talk about beds and they talk about a place to store food would be nice as well. Not one of your human houses, not one of your witch houses, but something for coyotes, bespoke and regal and beautiful and roomy as well. Roomy is good. We have a lot of cubs. And Ashlyn sort of, she's jotting stuff down. She's like furrowing her brow and stroking her chin. And sort of looking at the foundations of what Bronwyn has built. I think she is going to try and build something similar, but like deeper in the woods. And I think once again, sort of passing the geyser that sort of diminished over the last couple of days, and seeing the wattle and daub around it, I think she loves Bronwyn and everything that Bronwyn does. And I think she wants to make her really proud. She's going to roll a clever skill to see if she can build like a perfect coyote house.
Nice. No.
You hear like sort of slapping clay, and you can hear sticks, and you can hear what sounds at one point to be a chainsaw. It is all very confusing and like, and she just comes out and done. And she gestures towards this structure that is barely held together. Like as you look at it, it's sort of like bits of wood and everything are falling everywhere. She looks very, very proud. And she thinks this is fit for purpose. This is fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good try. Well done. I'm just gonna go and see if I can also help and add my own little bits to this structure. So, and what she is actually going to do is like try and make sure it all fits together and actually works as a cohesive structure.
Okay, well, I don't think it's going to be much better, but okay.
All right, I need to get a 5 or a 6 for this to work. And that's a 1.
Oh, no.
So like as soon as Bronwyn approaches it, it just all collapses onto the ground, I think.
No, what'd you do?
I'm sorry. It must have been me. It must have been me messing with it. You did a really good job. And that was, so yeah, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Sorry, Mr. Coyote and Mrs. Coyote.
They just sort of and just turn around and walk away.
I don't think they're very happy with us.
Well, maybe if we get them some food later on, maybe they'll accept that as a kind of apology.
Oh yeah, I think there's a pie in the kitchen.
And she just starts walking off.
Like, no, wait, and freeze frame. Let's draw the next card and see what it is.
Okay.
Aha, it is the Joker. So unfortunately, that is the end of our game. If we'd been playing the full game, this would be a point where we could go back to our failed challenges and see if they could be fixed. But at this point, we just have to tot up our scores because we've got a convention to get to. So yeah, let's see how we did. So we've got a score of 34 for magical solutions. Now for skilled solutions. So 7 of hearts was one that I got, and 2 of hearts was one that you got.
Yes.
So that would be 9 total.
Okay. This is looking good.
And then we didn't get any brave solutions at all, unfortunately, because I think that troll encounter really did for us in that case. We need to subtract the magical solutions total value from each of our skilled solutions values. And if either is a negative number, which ours definitely is, we need to refer to the fade to mundane ending on the next page. Magic flows out of the Starlight Forest like tears as the legendary font of power is overdrawn. The light of the cosmic tree sputters out. The fairy retire back to their realm. Even the nature spirits drift away. There's nothing supernatural about this place anymore. Samantha Heddy wouldn't recognize her forest anymore. There's not a lot of it left after the village expands into a full-blown city. This isn't always a bad thing. You still have a little bit of the gift that your teacher helped you foster. You can't work miracles, but mothers still come to you with their children for blessings, and young men still ask you to interpret their dreams. Your new mundane life is marvelous in its own way. You never forget Samantha, but you make new friends. They think you're absolutely magical, with or without raven feathers in your hair. It's very nice.
I like to think that Bronwyn and Ashlyn continue sort of practical magic style, like living in a lovely little house just off the corner of town.
Yeah. Maybe kind of like sell some little tinctures and ointments to the local apothecary or something like that.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah, I think so. Thank you so much for playing this with me. It's been absolutely lovely.
Thank you. It was delightful. Really lovely game. I want to do this again.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to pick the game up for yourself, I will inevitably have put a link to it in the podcast description. So yeah, please do. It is delightful, and maybe you'll do better than we did. There's a lot more endings that you can get depending on how well you do. Edward, where can we find you on the internet if we want to find more of your stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at Edward_Spence_, and you can do the same on Instagram as well. Those are the main places. If you want to see me GMing, you can do so at Wounded Warrior Project over on Twitch, and you'll be able to catch me over on Stellar Luna TV's channel, where I will be running our Over the Garden Wall inspired miniseries, Beyond the Brook. It will be delightful, and if you enjoyed this, chances are you will enjoy another woodland jaunt through the mysterious magical depths of the backwoods.
Fantastic. And yes, if you want to follow A Game of One's Own on social media or find our website, just head down to the podcast description. There will be information there for you. And yeah, thank you so much for listening, and look forward to seeing you here next time. Goodbye. Thank you again for listening to this episode of A Game of One's Own. Our theme music, as always, is by James Barbarossa, and this week's episode also included music by Kevin MacLeod. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/snazzytapier for all the bonus goodies. You can follow the show on social media at A Game of One's Own, and find out more about my work at snazzytapier.com or at Maddy is Abstract on social media. See you next time for more weird stories.